Georgia and Missouri in Athens this week. One game, we just got done talking about LSU and Alabama. This one's for the East. Georgia and Mizzou. You brought up something earlier, Joe, in the beginning of the show that I thought was very interesting. You said, yeah, maybe on paper this game looks a lot closer than we think. But you think that the dogs, as they like to bark at people, are going to roll Mizzou this week.
Hell yes. Hell yes. Look, Missouri has been really fun to watch. I am a huge Luther Burden fan, but I think that their schedule thus far, it's pretty noticeable to realize that nobody has really moved them up in the top 25. Their resume so far this season, it's kind of mid. Their best performances have come against average to slightly above average teams. They have not faced anything like this. And Georgia is freaking rolling. I'm going to say that every goddamn week that they are rolling and that they are on an absolute mission to just pummel everything in front of them. This is just another bump in the road, man. This is just another bump in the road for them until they get onto that, till they get to the SEC championship game.
I can't go there. Now, I'm not going to discredit Missouri as bad as you are. Let me just say that. I don't think that it's just as easy as you line up and you beat the dog shit out of them, puns intended. Mm-hmm. Do I think that Georgia could potentially steamroll them? Yes. I also think that this game could get close, okay? Because I don't think people are giving Drinkwitz and this offense enough credit. They are really good offensively. They're top 30 in total offense. When you look at them, they don't give up a lot of sacks. Their passing offense is top 20 in the country. They're at 17. Their rush offense, where it has not been fantastic, it's 73rd total, but that's a little bit skewed because of the yards per carry that they're getting are pretty freaking high. It should not be 73rd. They go by obviously total yards and total carries and stuff like that on yards per carry, but they're not doing that for total rush offense. They should not be 75. They can do some good things. The thing that I don't think people are giving Missouri enough credit for, they're a top 25 rush defense. They have been. There were times in that LSU game, early in that game, that they were stopping them running the football. It took Jane Daniels going completely nuclear in the second half, and that defense actually stepping up. They only gave up 14 points in that second half, and they were able to come out with the win there. Connor threw 2 interceptions, 1 pick six that sealed the deal for LSU. I'm not saying that this game is going to be close. I do think Missouri can keep it close. Hell, Joe, we saw it a year ago, okay? We literally saw this script a year ago. I do think that motivates Georgia.
Yes.
But here's the biggest pet peeve. Here's the biggest misconception when it comes to games like that. Everybody always says, oh, well, a team like Georgia, they're going to be back out for revenge. Everybody said that they almost lost to them last year. You're right. That's true. Missouri also got their first taste of blood that they can potentially knock off a big boy. They almost did it to let's call it what it is. Statistically, over the last 20 years, LSU in the SEC has been a big boy. They thought that they could do that. I say all that to say I still see Georgia winning by 14 here. But I do think that that's closer than some people think that it would be.
Yeah, I'm not saying that this is going to be a or like a 4-score game or something crazy like that. I think that 14 to 17 points is going to be the final outcome. But you brought up last year how we saw what happened last year when these two teams played. I actually think this game is not really comparable to the Missouri Georgia game last year because this Missouri roster is completely different. It is a completely different team. And Georgia very clearly early on in the season was overlooking
Georgia.
a very beatable, that's true, a very, very beatable opponent. And we know that Georgia has this horrible tendency to playing down to weak opponents on their schedule. I compare this more to the Tennessee game last year where they at home were facing off with a team that everybody was hyping up. Nobody was talking about them. Everybody was talking about Hendon Hooker and Jalen Hyatt and Cedric Tillman. Oh, look how explosive and fun they are. This is Josh Heupel's year. and they were pissed off as all hell at home. Wait, I forget if that was at home
Yeah,
or not.
it was at Georgia. Yep.
They were all pissed off, and they smoked them. And I know that Tennessee kind of came back a little bit, but they were pissed off.
And the touchdown game.
It was lopsided for a period of time, though. And that game was much more.
Still had the ball down a touchdown, did they not?
It was more lopsided than anybody anticipated, is what I'm trying to get at. This Missouri team is not as good as that Tennessee team last year. I am hyper focused on one thing. When teams have meltdowns in parts of games, that to me is the true identity of a team. And the way that they melted down at the end of that Missouri LSU game is concerning for me. That to me is more reflective of when they get their back up against the wall, how do they perform? Brady Cook played horribly. He played his worst series of the season, those few series that he turned the ball over. And it was very apparent that when he's pressured, when his guys are covered for extended periods of time, he can't make the right decisions. He's not a guy that is going to exceed unless things are flowing and are open for him. Luther Burden is hard to cover. I get that. But they have not faced a secondary this good, and that defensive line eventually will hit home. They got to be really careful here, man, because Georgia could eat if they make mistakes like they did against LSU.
The problem that I'm having right now is I can't disagree with you. Like, there's no real counter argument that I can have.
That's a first on this show.
No, it's not. Here is one thing that I do want to bring up. I brought it up earlier.
Wait, also Georgia Tennessee last year was 27-13. I thought that game was a little more lopsided than it was. Okay, sorry. Continue.
Okay, 14 points. Okay. So
we're predicting.
Pretty much like we're predicting. Yeah. True. One thing that I do think that you said that I do want to see Georgia get better at. It's the only area of, I'm going to use this in all quotations, weakness. They are 77th in the country in getting to the quarterback and sacks. Joe, they're top 10 in every statistical category that matters. They're first in the country on third down defense. Yep. They're third in the country in third down offense. They're eighth in the country in total defense. They're fourth in the country in total offense. At some point, we got to look at Georgia and say to ourselves, hey, man, I know that everybody keeps saying that they, keeps talking about them offensively. Joe, they're top five. They're a top five offense in the country. So what are we talking about here?
It's because of the Auburn game. That's why. Because they looked bad against Auburn.
Okay, name a team not named Michigan that has not had a close game this year. I'm old enough to remember when Florida State almost got knocked off by Boston College, right? We have them in our top three. I'm also old enough to remember. I'm not saying Notre Dame is a bad team. No, I'm not doing that. But stay with me here. They are a fourth and 17 conversion away from getting beat by Notre Dame. Ohio State is. Okay. Yeah. There have been a lot of teams that have had close games, and rivalry games in college football, anything goes, anything can happen. Literally, anything can happen. Joe, I don't know that Georgia doesn't come out here and roll. The Bell kid, I still think like the fade. I'm so impressed by that kid because he runs a fade route. He lines up in the backfield. He's like the Georgia version of Deebo Samuel.
I was just about to say that.
I mean, you can put him in. I'm waiting for them to put him in as a Wildcat and let him run the Wildcat. Maybe let him throw a pass or two. Hell, who knows?
He should.
He's been doing everything else. I just want to give Missouri the respect that they are deserved. I do think that they are lethal enough offensively to get some scores in here. Look, if Joe Milton can do some things offensively, and not against Georgia, it's not what I'm saying, but Cook can. These receivers are not bad. Like, Joe, it's one thing to cover Luther Burden. They got two other dudes that can eat now.
Yep.
It's not just a one-man show up there in Como. So I do think the Dogs win. I around the 14, 17-point range that But I still think that that's closer than some people. Like Missouri's only lost one game this year. Like people are disrespecting them. That's a great season for Drinkwitz. By the way,
right.
A lot of people were saying that he was on the hot board. They were saying he's going to get fired. And now all of a sudden he's second in the East.
Right. That needs to be brought up. And I think that what you just said there, I think definitely needs to be brought up of like, some people are disrespecting Missouri. I'm not disrespecting Missouri. I think that Missouri is in a really good position this year to finish the season with 3 losses. They are going to be able to finish the season with a really good record because they have so many good things. But they are facing Thanos. Then this is you're not going to win a one-on-one with Thanos,
you gotta
man.
stop saying that. Thanos lost. Thanos in the end of it lost.
Let's forget that first. Yeah, but because everyone had to band together to beat him, and it took literally going back in time. They had to completely manipulate reality in order to beat him. So what I'm trying to get at here,
manipulating reality with superhero movies.
Yes, what I'm trying to get at here is it is too grand of a task for them to beat.
Now, let me just very quickly, got like 2 minutes. What happens if Mizzou does the unthinkable and wins? Then what?
For me, Georgia probably drops back to like 5 or maybe even less. Oh man, that's hard. I wouldn't move them any further back than 5. I can't say for certain where I would move them back to.
Well, Joe, you'd have to put Missouri above them.
That is true. My battery, I'm having a battery issue by the way with my camera. It's you might want to send us to the home field read. I'm sorry. My point is though, I would move up Mizzou into the top 10.
You'd have to put them in the top 5.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a massive, massive leap. All right.